That's right. Patricia called the police on us because we had the audacity to move into a house we legally owned. She told officers we were suspicious military types, threatening community safety, demanding they arrest us immediately. This deranged woman was so convinced she'd caught dangerous criminals that she practically bounced with excitement, waiting for our dark secrets to be exposed. But when my wife calmly handed over her driver's license, that second ID, Patricia's smug expression literally froze. She had no idea what was coming next. Comment below where you're watching from. These stories, family. But let me back up and tell you how we got here. It all started on what should have been the happiest day of our lives, moving into our dream home in Maplewood Estates. Rebecca and I had been house hunting for months, and when we found this beautiful two-story colonial with a white picket fence and manicured lawn, we knew it was perfect. The neighborhood looked like something out of a magazine. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained sidewalks, and houses that screamed American dream. What we didn't know was that our new neighbor, Patricia Williams, was about to turn our paradise into a living nightmare. I'm Alex, by the way, and I'm a graphic designer. Rebecca's well, let's just say she has a very interesting background that Patricia was about to discover the hard way. The moving truck had barely pulled into our driveway when Patricia materialized like a bad omen. It was exactly what you'd picture when someone says, "H-O-A Karen." Full-style blonde hair, tennis outfit, and a special combination of fake smile, dead eyes, that screams, "I live to make people miserable." She marched right up to our front porch like she'd only placed clipboard in hand, ready for battle. "Excuse me," she said in that sickly sweet voice that immediately made my skin crawl. "But I don't believe we've been properly introduced. I'm Patricia Williams, president of the Maplewood Estates Homeowners Association." The way she said president made it sound like she was announcing herself as the Queen of England. Rebecca looked up directly and gave Patricia a light nod. "Nice to meet you. I'm Rebecca. This is my husband, Alex." But Patricia wasn't used to the resume. "This is a fancy name." Patricia continued, her eyes scanning the boxes like she was conducting a security inspection. "What's your story? Where are you from? What kind of work do you do?" The questions came rapid fire. I could feel my blood pressure rising. Who the hell did this woman think she was conducting an interrogation on property? Rebecca repeated her question. "Alex is a graphic designer, and I recently left my previous job." Patricia's eyes narrowed. Rebecca just smiled and said, "Government work is dead." But Patricia was not. I was ready to lose my mind, but Rebecca just nodded politely and said, "We'll take care of it." By evening, Patricia had written up 7 different violations and informed us that we'd be receiving formal notices in the mail. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said with a smirk that made me want to throw something. "I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other." After Patricia retreated to her house, I exploded. What the hell was that? Who did she think she was? We need to report her to someone. Rebecca was unpacking her security system with methodical precision, which struck me as odd, since that hadn't been a priority in our old house. Relax, Alex, she said calmly. Let her make the first real mistake. There was something in her voice, a coldness that I'd never heard before. First mistake? She's been making mistakes all day. But Rebecca just shook her head and continued setting up cameras around our property. No, she said quietly. She's been establishing a pattern, and patterns are very useful things. I had no idea what she meant, but I was about to find out that my wife was playing a game that Patricia didn't even know existed. That night I was restless. The confrontation with Patricia had left me wired, and I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Around midnight I got up to get some water, and happened to glance at the security monitor that had been set up in the kitchen. What I saw made my blood run cold. Patricia was in our front yard, crouched by our door, trying the handle, taking photos through our windows with her phone. She moved like someone who'd done this before, systematic, methodical, checking every angle. I was about to charge outside when Rebecca's hand landed on my shoulder. Don't, she said quietly. Let me handle this. I turned to look at my wife. For the first time in 5 years of marriage, I saw something in her eyes that I'd never seen before. Something cold, calculating, absolutely terrifying. Alex, she said in that same deadly calm voice. She's not just crazy, she's methodical and systematic. I've dealt with her type before. The next morning, I watched Rebecca review the security footage with the kind of focus I'd seen her use for work projects, but this was different. She was studying Patricia's movements like she was analyzing human intelligence. When I asked her about it, she was pointing to a certificate from one of our unpacked boxes, a military commendation I'd seen before, but never really paid attention to. From your army days, I asked. Rebecca nodded, but didn't elaborate. Patricia has no idea what she's doing, she said simply. And that's going to be her biggest mistake. Yet I wanted to ask more questions, but something in Rebecca's expression told me that this conversation was over. All I knew was that Patricia Williams had been the wrong neighbors to mess with. But what Rebecca doesn't tell Alex is what she's really planning to do about Patricia. Trust me, her military background is about I think Rebecca's next move should be. Drop your predictions below. BD Stories has more coming.
Romans 8:28 reminds us that God works for the good of those who love him. You may be feeling stuck or uncertain, but don't.
Coming. If I thought day one was bad, Patricia Williams was just getting warmed up. The formal violations started arriving in our mailbox within 48 hours. Professionally printed notices on official HOA letterhead that detailed our numerous infractions. Flex is too long by half an inch. The mailbox was painted the wrong shade of black. Unauthorized vehicle parking because Rebecca's car wasn't perfectly centered in our driveway. Each violation came with a $25 fine and a 14-day compliance deadline. By the end of the week, we'd accumulated over $300 in penalties for things so trivial they bordered on insane. This is harassment, I told Rebecca as I reviewed the latest batch. We need to fight this. But Rebecca just filed each notice in a folder labeled evidence and continued her methodical documentation of everything Patricia did. I was starting to realize my wife had a plan, but she wasn't sharing it with me yet. The real escalation came the following Monday when Patricia decided to make our conflict public. I was working in my home office when I heard raised voices outside. Through my window, I could see Patricia at her mailbox waving papers at Rebecca like she was conducting a public execution. I run this neighborhood, Patricia was shouting loud enough for half